All right, guys. So here is a video for how to evaluate functions given a graph. So it says evaluate the following graph. Find the value of x when f of x is equal to 2. What about when f of negative 2 is equal to question mark? All right. So remember, whenever they give us an x, that is the same thing as the input or the domain. And whenever they give us y, well, that's the same thing as the output or the range. So let's do the first one. So find the value of x when f of x is equal to 2. Remember that f of x is the same thing as y. That means when y is equal to 2, what is x? So let's look at when y is equal to 2. This is our x axis and this is our y-axis. So that means I'm only going to read the graph up and down if I'm focusing on the y values, right? So I'm focusing here. I'm only going to read the graph up and down. Where is y is equal to 2? Well, y is equal to 2 is right here, all right? Right here. What is the x value whenever y is equal to 2? Let's go down to the x-axis, -1. So that means that x, let me do a different color. X is equal to -1 whenever f of x is equal to 2. All right, so we did the first part. Now it's asking when f of -2, what is the y? So they give us this right here is our input. This is our x. So now we're going to be reading the graph from left to right, only from left to right. Let's find where the x is -2. Well, x is -2 right here. What's the y value when x is equal to -2? Well, let's look at the y value now. It's at 0, right? So we would write it like this. F of -2 is equal to 0. All right. Another way, if you have trouble reading the graphs, go ahead and just plot it. We already know that x is -2, comma, what's the y? 0. So this is the x and this is the y. We know that the input and now we have the output. All right. So that's it for that one. And now for the next one, it says evaluate the following graph, find the value of x when f of x is equal to 4. Again, f of x is the same thing as y, okay? And this is also the same thing as the output. Our x is our input, okay? So right here, f of x is equal to 4 is the same thing as y is equal to 4. And they want us to find what x is. So we're going to be reading the graph up and down. We're trying to find, we're trying to find where y is equal to 4 so that then we can guide to where the x is. So y is equal to 4, well, y is equal to 4 right here. So I'm going to see where it touches the graph, and it's right here. Now that I have that, let's look down to the x-axis. That is a -6. So x is equal to -6 when y is equal to 4. X is equal to -6. Another way you could have done it, just plot it. All right, read the graph like you normally would. -6, comma, 4. This is your x, this is your y. All right, so now for the second part, it says find f of 6 is equal to, well, they want us to find the y value. That 6 is our x, right? That's our input. Remember, if it's inside the parentheses, it's the input. So let's look at where x is equal to 6. Now we're going to be reading the graph only from left to right. Well, whenever x is equal to 6, is right here. Now we have to guide ourselves to now look up and down because now we're going to try to find the y value. So I'm going to go down because that's where the graph is going. And what is the y value? The y value is -2. All right. So we have that f of 6 is equal to -2. And also you could have just plotted it. Okay. 6 comma -2. This is your x and this is your y. And that's it. You guys are done. If you're still having trouble reading these graphs, I know it can be a little confusing with the outputs and inputs, but the more you do it, the more you familiarize yourself with the vocabulary and reading the graphs. But yes, please be sure to ask your teacher for help if you're still having trouble with this. And yeah, that's it, guys. Thank y'all.